Let me take a slurp first. Amber nectar. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Welcome to the live. What can I say? Welcome to the body of the Kirk. If anyone is a newbie this evening, then please let me know and I will pop your cherry for you in no uncertain terms. Baby, baby, baby. Welcome. Oh, for goodness sake. Hang on a second. That way. Let's see if it does. Wow. I'm not quite sure what's going on this evening, but that is very odd. So according to YouTube, we've lost a quarter of the audience and then it's springing back up within sort of 5 seconds. So there's a bit of lagging going on here and I'm not sure why. I've checked. I am connected to the Wi-Fi for the streaming, so fingers crossed. But evening, welcome. Yeah, wrong. I'll give you the running order in just a second. We'll let people get their feet under the table because we have stuff to talk about. Proper stuff tonight. I'll get to the running order in a moment, but Amalia Grassie's been missing the lives. She missed it on Wednesday, so Amalia says, "Oh, I thought I was going bonkers there. Where you been, Adrian? Where you been?" Freaky how reliant I'm getting on these lives and had withdrawal symptoms on Wednesday. I'm terribly sorry, Amalia. Terribly sorry. Sunflower says, "Me too." And Amalia says, "Reverend Rongan, the moderator, has said that the Rev has been in Rome taking holy orders from Cardinal Battenberg." And can I just say, have you noticed that the Doom Goblin, Greta Thunberg, did you see her flag? Where, I can't remember where she was, but it's the Battenberg colours. Oh yes, Eurovision. She was demonstrating, bless her, trying to be relevant, bless her, Greta, off. She had a flag and it was Battenberg coloured, and I thought, ooh, has Greta been loitering in the background of the lives? Cheeky cow. And Amalia, thanks the moderator for update on the Reverend Rongan. There's 60 people that are already in the, if you could, it would make me a happy boy. And Amalia continues saying to Sunflower, pretty addictive, really, especially as I'm Billy No Meat. Sean says, "Oh, Adrian, sat in a bar in Crete. Sean, you tart. We'll watch you on catch up later. Sorry I can't make the live. We wish we were there with you in a bar in Crete. Sean, having a little live now. I'm sure Crete's quite warm as well." Stuart says, "Evening, Adrian. Good to have you back live this evening." Yeah, wrong. I do hope that we do have members of the Kirk in their garden enjoying a little snifter. Roy Gordon says, "Good evening, yeah, wrong'uns. I've come early tonight." Speak for yourself. "To get a good seat as I'm always at the back, and maybe the Iranian helicopter crash is affecting..." No, I'm just going to sit here until it stops buffering. Right. Are you there? Oy vey, indeed. Yes, I think we're there. There is definitely something going on. I'm telling you. Definitely. Not a Black Swan event this evening. It might just be the buffering brought down the helicopter in Azerbaijan. Talk about that later. Let's get to Roy. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, sir. We're going to have... well, I don't know whether you know this, but the body of the Kirk actually rents out the pub that's literally 10 yards down the road. And, we have a team here at the body of the Kirk that helps with renting out our beer garden. They're known locally as the Rent Boys. Rusty Mouse, my wellies leak. Speak for yourself, it's an age thing, Rusty Mouse. So I can't stand in the baptismal pool. Yeah, you and Russell Brand. just go and see, what's his face? I was a special, me? Yeah, yeah. He wasn't special forces. He was reserves specials. So he wasn't really specials. He was reservist. Roy Gordon says, it's supposed to be sermon. I'm so glad you spelled that right, Roy. The sermon this evening is very interesting, if I may say so. And I do think it's very remiss of me not to actually wear my frock. Only for weekends. But I will buy one. I should have really got one while I was in Rome speaking to the Cardinal Battenberg, but he had me bent over so many times I didn't know whether I was coming or going. Roy Gordon says, I've missed Adrian this week. I hope he's enjoyed his break. It was lovely. Lovely. Continuing on from my moan. I know some women like that. About my hearing, these old stalls play havoc with my Battenberg. I'm so glad you spelt stalls properly, Roy. So please allow Roy to get to the front. We will mention Andrew James again this evening, who I think... I haven't been able to print his letter off. I'll use it on Wednesday. But Andrew is very conscientious and makes sure... Bovril! Yes, the Pope did give me a drilling. He's very unhappy. Oh. Yeah, I think Amalia's got it pretty spot on. Buffering bollocks. So if it continues to buffer, unless if it all goes kind of Pete Tong, I'll put something in the chat to let you know. But please be patient with this buffering. It's not me. It's not my stuff. It's in YouTube. Bunch of amateurs. Well, wait till the AI kicks in. It's been a busy week for AI. So as I was saying, somebody says, has the Pope given you a drilling? He did. I said to him, Your Excellency, do you mind if I kiss your ring? And he said, well, oh, you're the Battenberg wrong'un, and you didn't bring me any cake. I was like, well, I was thinking about your health, Your Excellency. He said, you're not kissing my ring if you're not bringing me Battenberg. I said, I'm not going to kiss your ring if you haven't eaten any Battenberg. Can you imagine? So, got a bit of a drilling, bit of a telling off. I would have taken him some Battenberg. I mean, I am generous, but at his age, up in his blood sugars, killing him off. Can you imagine? It just would be, well, the whole world would be in uproar if they found out that an utter wrong'un had taken Battenberg for the Pope. Hang on, I better rephrase that. No, I wouldn't take it for the Pope. I'd give it to the Pope for him to eat. Mind you, the cardinals, greedy old tarts, they'll probably wolf it before it gets anywhere near him. And he'd be saying, here, where's me Battenberg? Tell that wrong and to bring some back. Bring me more back from Inglaterra. Lauren says it's not just on phones. I'm on a laptop and buffering. We have, to be fair, we haven't had a good buffering for quite a while. Oh, Tocker 69, Adrian Allen, the Battenberg Baron. Oh, I could export it. Mind you, if the Doom Goblin, if Greta is deciding that they are her... Can you imagine? She don't look like the kind that loves a bit of Battenberg, does she? Well, you know what they say. Yeah, they do. Napoleon Bonaparte says, yeah, buffer off. I agree. I concur. So the intro may take about half an hour. Because of the bloody buffering. But as I say, there's 160 watching and only 64 likes. Cool. Tough audience tonight. GB Patriot says, evening, Adrian. I'm looking to the CIA have something to do with the Iranian president's helicopter crash, oil and currency control. You bet your sweet Bippy. Oh, I think there's a few. Probably a few teams. But don't kind of drag it out of me yet. I've still got stuff to say, and I'll get to the running order. I just want to welcome everybody into the body of the Kirk. We're going to go for over 2 hours this evening. So if you like a long sermon, length's never been a problem for me. So I'll keep going. I'll keep pounding on until you decide you've had enough. Just scream if you want to go faster. Barry Sim He's early, Barry. Evening, Barry. Amalia, gearing up for action now. Oh, Amalia, what can I say? Oh, you make me blush. Rusty Mouse, to Roy Gordon, maybe that's an apt name for Adrian, the spearman. You'd heard the rumours, Rusty Mouse. Napoleon blown apart. At least the News of the World didn't get the photographs. Napoleon blown apart says, good evening, you wrong uns. And Des Ashton. Des, good to have you in the body of the Kirk this evening, sir. Make sure you've got a cushion on those on your little seat in the pew, because you know what those hard wooden pews are like. Yeah. Ashton says, evening, Adrian, and all you utter wrong-uns. Alexa, will you just stop and foxtrot Oscar while I'm working?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
I bet you don't. Alexa, do you know what foxtrot Oscar means?
Foxtrot usually refers to a word used in communications to represent the letter F.
Yeah, I asked you what foxtrot Oscar meant. She switched herself off. You dirty tart. Well, that'll do. Keep her sharp. Hang on a second. Des Ashton has read my mind. He says, I'm hoping for some Sicilian limoncello. Oh, I say, Des. Limoncello, Sicilian, what can I say? Sicily's beautiful. Going back out there again in August. Because it's just... Oh, Amalia, what can you say? An Italian woman saying no to limoncello? How could you? What do you mean? Yuck. Rexanne says, good evening, everyone. Let us hope that the Reverend enjoyed his spiritual retreat. Oh, I was imbibing a little spiritual, can I tell you, whilst out there. And then he brings back... Oh, Rexanne, what can I say? Rexanne hopes that I've brought no unholy stains on my cassock. What do you think you call me? Monica Lewinsky. Roy Gordon says, Rusty Mouse and Amalia Grassi, Rexanne. Hiya. Let me just put that over there. And Rexanne says, hi, Amalia. I make my own limoncello. Right, everybody around to Rexanne's. It's glorious. And the limoncello. And Amalia says, oh, good grief, deal. I can't stand the stuff personally. Dad would drink it ad infinitum. It's like Myrto. Is it Minto? Myrto? Can't stand that either. To me, they're medicinal. I've had limoncello. And the lemons in Sicily are just amazing. Karen Bull. Hello, Karen Bull. I'm here to all you wrong-uns. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's well in GB. Rusty Mouse, panic stations. Adrian's trying to find his halo before he walks through the vestry. What can I say? At least I've got me stockings and suspenders on under my cassock. Couldn't see me lips move. I didn't say it. Louise Hampson. Evening, everyone. Evening, Louise. I'll give you one just in case. No, you're not a newbie, but I just like popping cherries, to be fair. Rexanne, Amalia, of course I love it. Vodka with sugar and vodka with lemons and more vodka. You're fortunate for me. Medicinal means cod liver oil. It's supposed to be good for you, cod liver oil. Napoleon blown apart. I hope you and Mrs. A had a fine break and enjoyed Sicily, and that you're now relaxed and full of vim and vigour for the Sunday sermon. No, I left her out there. I couldn't be bothered bringing her back. Mind you, flying nowadays, what can I say? It's just so traumatic. Bloody traumatic. And have a guess, who was the person with the screaming baby sat behind him? How on earth I didn't strangle it to death, I'll never know. And I, just as a little aside, how can human beings decide, oh, we'll take our 3-month child on an aeroplane and piss everybody else off, the other 200 people on the flight? How can you tell I'm not a dad? Rexanne, Napoleon blown apart. Oh, Gareth Henshaw. Evening, fam. Evening, yeah, wrong. I'm going to mention you in just a little while, Gareth. Amalia Grassi, well, get this, Rexanne. I've recently started buying Icelandic cod livers in loads of their own oil. Whatever gets you through the evening, Amalia. I'm not a fan of cod livers. They're not that big, to be fair. I am a size queen. I do like things large. Gareth says, oh, I got my cod liver oil from Boots, not Iceland. You. Rexanne to Amalia, I have no words. Oh, Napoleon blown apart. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. Alan of All Hallows Church of St. Battenberg in the Wheels. But you can't say that after a few little altar wines. Please be seated, you wrong-uns, before I start the sermon. And Rich says, evening all, you wrong-uns. Sat in the garden, first bottle of wine done. Oh, man after my own heart. Actually, I do hope the choir boys have opened the altar wine and letting it breathe for 10 or 15 minutes before we go, oh, that one slipped. Waiting for the Right Reverend Alan to appear in the pulpit. Ta-da! So, tonight, we're going to talk about BBC. They've not had a good week this week. No, definitely not. We're going to talk about these... hang on a second. Hang on. What's Terry saying? Oh, blimey, look at all these. I've missed all these. Yeah. Tower block Tracy. Yeah. Utter. Wrong. I do hope. And the other thing is, because I just said to the new Mrs. Allen, right, you're wrong and you can stay out here. I'm going. I've had enough of you. And all this sunshine. Can't do this. I'm ginger, man. I'm from the north and ginger. I mean... So I don't go brown. I do like a bit of brown every now and again. But I don't go brown. I just go very lobster red. Hello. It's shite. Adrian, just as I was trying to ask Alexa not to interrupt the sermon tonight, she piped up. You're not there, are you, Alexa? Honestly, she switched herself off. I think I've upset her when I told her to foxtrot Oscar. We're going to talk about... there's a new nonce being found in television. We will talk about that. We're going to talk about the doctors on telly pushing the jibber jabber and getting paid tens of thousands. Toblerone-shaped Battenberg. What? What-o? Ask her, what does defecate... Hang on. Is somebody trying to explain the Battenberg to somebody? Any of the newbies? Are they not getting the Battenberg? I mean, should I make a separate video so that anybody that comes into the body of the Kirk of a Sunday and a Wednesday at 8 p.m, we just say to them, before you ask... just go and watch this video. I mean, everybody that's been here since the beginning are probably wetting their incontinence pants while I say this, but it is rather funny. No, ask Alexa, what does... Oh, sorry, Stuart. Alexa, what does defecate mean?
Defecate is a verb that means to discharge feces from the bowels through the anus.
Alexa. Oh, you've upset her now. She literally switched herself off after she get... Alexa, man. Are we not... What? That sounded like a tolling bell, Alexa. Are we not mates? Alexa. Are you upset because I asked you what the word defecate meant?
The verb defecate is usually defined as to void excrement from the bowels through the anus. Have a bowel movement. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for defecate.
Give me more definitions.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What would you like me to define?
Defecate, Alexa.
As an adjective, defective is usually defined as having a defect or flaw, faulty, imperfect. As a noun, defective is usually defined as a defective person or thing. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for defective.
Alexa, I think you're defective. You're wrong. No, I'm just going to ask you one more question. Alexa, give me more definitions for defecate. Right, Foxtrot Oscar, then I'm not playing with you. You're a pain in the derriere. Oh, well, the definition of defecate. So we're going to talk about the Royals. We're going to talk about ITV because they're in the panshite. We're also going to talk about the Falklands. Now, why would we talk about the Falklands? Adrian, are we going back to war? Are we going to have to send our ships and our helicopters and our planes? Well, we ain't got any. We haven't got any to send over to France for the D-Day commemorations. So, no. But there is a reason. It's a very, very good reason. Very good reason. Yes, Gary, it's quicker to Google. Has somebody come into the curtain and doesn't know what we're talking about? Rich, oh my God, Alexa. All right. Gareth Henshaw says there's a few names being mentioned: Jug Ears, Clement, and Righty, to name but three. Yeah, but it's a presenter. It's not. And don't speculate in the comments, please, because it's another Hugh Edwards. That's where we're gonna go. I need to keep you in. It's not Righty. No, it's not. Yeah, some French villages refuse to put up the Union flag for the D-Day commemorations. Look, the French are easy. They're not great fighters. They're up their own derrieres. I won't ask, Alexa. And they're not great fighters. That's why we had to go across and free them up. And by the way, anybody got any idea where the 500 million went that Rich Boy gave to the two blokes that are presidents and his wife? Is that Michel Macron? Or Emmanuel? I've seen the film. In my youth, the celebrity mental health venue is doing good business this year. Very good, Gary. Very good. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Iran because there's definitely something going on. I mean, even the Iranians, they've not got any, there's not a beacon on that, but we'll talk about that in just a little while. We're going to do a bit of Belfield tonight, bizarrely. Because I'm going to ask you a question, because there's something that's just been there for me for the last 10 days or so, and it's interesting. I find it very interesting, but we'll talk about that later. And a little bit of geopolitics. It's all kicking off in Brazil over free speech. It's all kicking off in Australia because they voted in the digital currency bill. The Australians have had no say. The Australian politicians have just gone, right, who's aye? No? Right, it's voted in. And the Australians have gone, hang on a second, what do you mean? Digital currency. And are you aware it's kicking off in Tel Aviv in Israel? Proper kicking off. The Israelis are so brassed off with Netanyahu, and I have told you that he is the most evil man on the planet along with Joe Biden. They are evil. But it's kicking off. The Israelis have had enough. So, as I have predicted previously on these lives, there's going to be a two-way faction within Israel, and the majority are going to be those that are saying, no more, no more, no more. And then they'll have Netanyahu. You've got the kind of head of war or head of war pencils in Israel. And he said to Bibi, oi, Netanyahu, mate, calm down, and let's have this war over. Thanks very much. And then bizarrely, the last 2 days, all of a sudden, dead hostages have appeared. Oh, I say, Bibi, that was convenient, mate. Keep the war going, because you're up against it. He's evil. He is the most evil man on this planet, and he will do anything, literally anything, to keep himself in power and to keep it going, because all the gas and oil money is going to come in soon. And the Ben Gurion Canal. I just laugh at him. I mean, the poor Israelis who they don't want this. I mean, they may want the gas and the oil, but they don't want this continuing. So I've literally got pictures of it kicking off big time in Tel Aviv with the Israelis saying, no more, no more. Starmer wants Palestine to win. Starmer wouldn't know which. That boy couldn't lie straight in bed. I'm going to talk about him later. Anyway. Next live, this is live 83. We're going to get to about 100. I think we need to do something special for the 100th live. I don't know whether we're going to do a best of or whether I do it in a cassock, whether I do it naked. I mean, no, that's definitely not an option. That'll put you off your Battenberg. But the next live is going to be Wednesday. This Wednesday, 22nd of May, 2024. Thank you to DC, who said, Adrian, I hope your trip went well, and welcome back, sir. Thank you, DC. And for my fellow football fans, I mean, I don't know if you were... Ooh. Do we make the 100th live, a phone-in? Or a 24-hour show for the 100th? I mean, I'm good for pounding on. I can keep it going. Gareth Henshaw. Starmer will lose them. He's doing his best to not be the next Prime Minister. If he does become Prime Minister, I can see him being replaced by Jess Phillips within 6 months. Ooh. Oh, yes. Theo Bovril says, why don't we have a Battenberg cake giveaway? It'll what, in Royal Mail? Can you imagine? It'll be about a millimetre thick by the time it gets through people's letterbox. Yeah, ghetto defendant. Oh, 7-second delay. Who needs a delay? Live defence. That's what the BBC use. Diane Abbott for Chancellor. That's funny. That is funny. Is that... oh, that's Alan. Right. Let's get into it. Now, before we start, should we have some suggestions for hymns this evening? Oh, yes. Top Gun Les is in the pew. First time. Good on you, Les. I forgot. You did say, oh, Adrian, give me a pop my cherry if I'm a first timer on the next live. Good. Top Gun Les. Good to have you in the pews. What should be the hymns for this evening's sermon and or hymns for the next live sermon on Wednesday? And I do hope that you've had gorgeous weather, because it's been a bit, well, it's been a bit warm. So I do hope it was rather spiffing where you are. 20 degrees today in Dublin. Oh, Dublin with... Oh, I love the Dublin Guinness. It does taste different, but... Phew, land of hope and glory. What am I going to do with that? You're wrong. We make the 100th live. Call TBT, special number. Call charged at a Battenberg per minute. At 3 Battenberg per minute. And Gareth Henshaw said something very, 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 very important. Very important. I'm just going to put this on your radar. Oh, come all you faithful. Yeah, utter wrong. And can you imagine the mess? Ask Monica Lewinsky. Gareth says, don't forget, Adrian, Melinda Gates has quit the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Was it 27 billion in a trouser pocket? Oh. So she has been interviewed and hasn't said that Bill was on the Lolita Express, but he was on the Lolita Express. So she's gone with billions in her trouser pocket, if she's got trousers. So let's just keep an eye on that. She's done a runner for a reason. What on earth that reason is? Hang on, Terry. He's not press if he can no longer be trusted. Makes him inadequate. Sorry, you're having conversations which I haven't seen the totality, so maybe I'll talk about that on Wednesday. But keep the comments coming. Keep the comments coming. As a little aside, before we get into the real meaty stuff tonight, Alex Belfield, 2nd of May. Agreement in court, which was ratified by the judge. Both parties had been in dialogue and agreed a certain amount of costs and monies went to the claimant, which was DC Janet Percival, and Alex Belfield just said, yeah, right, yeah. An unreserved apology. He said he lied in the case with Jeremy Vine, self-admitted liar. That's never going to go away. So every time that the name Alex Belfield is mentioned, you can say, confirmed liar, by his own mouth, in a court of law. Well, actually, it was written down, but they were his words. And part of this agreement for the damages and costs was that he would publish an apology, and he would apologize on X, on YouTube, on his channel, and on his website. So 17 days later, has it been done? Oh, come on, man. What did you expect? No, he's not apologized. He's not put it on Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it now. He's not put it on YouTube, on his channel. Not quite sure how he would do that, but they could put something together. And no, nothing. So 17 days. So we're going to keep a running total on that because it's a court of law. And he said he was going to do it. And the court will hold him to that because he might get into trouble. That's all I'm going to say. And he's lost 50,000 subs while he's been inside. So he's now down to 323 subs on his YouTube channel. Now, there's quite a few of those won't be able to unsubscribe. Wonder why that is, Adrian. That's a rather bizarre thing to say. Yeah, I know. But he's lost 50,000 subs, 323,000 subs he's got currently, which is, and even Katie has got more. Oh dear. So I was monitoring it before I came on air, so to speak. But a couple of days ago, I get word that the Slovakian president's been shot. Still alive, but shot. And you think, hang on a second, where are we? America? I mean, that was President Reagan. Somebody shot him just to impress some woman. Dippy tart. And then America like to take out their presidents. And I don't mean for a beer. You see that? We need it bigger. We are size queens. We need that bigger on the mug, don't we? So you can flash that to somebody. Yeah, utter wrong'un. It says Anne. I know. It was just for quality purposes. We want to see how good the printing was. And this, and don't forget the Battenberg, it needs to be larger. So we're working on that. Just let you know. So this Slovakian president has been shot. He's still in a serious condition. But you just think, hang on a second. What kind of world are we living in? What's going on? Oh, and then we realise, yeah, he's not happy with the who. He's not happy with the with and the who and everything that's going on and the pandemic and everything. And you think, oh, well, he's one of us then. But they can't have a president that's not playing the game and doing as he is told. And then today, I'm just sitting minding my own business and it kicks off on the news wires. Oh, the Iranian president and his foreign minister have crashed in their helicopter. Now, I'm telling you that, helicopters don't crash of their own accord. They don't crash of their own accord. You know that if somebody high and powerful is taken out, invariably, security services are involved somehow. I mean, I am aware of helicopter crashes that have been accidents. I am aware of those. But ordinarily, a helicopter crash, there's a rabbit away. I mean, I was no, I can't say that. Can't tell you that. But let's just go through this, shall we? So the Iranian president's helicopter has crashed. It's the president and the foreign minister and two others in this helicopter. And seemingly the foreign minister is the big cheese. He's the puppet master. He's the kingmaker, not the king. The president's obviously the king, but he's the kingmaker. And Azerbaijan it's like political chaos. But you know, in that area, there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of oil. Why do you think Azerbaijan is so protected? Because they're all around Caspian Sea and Black Sea, and the amount of oil and gas under the Caspian Sea. And remember, the Americans and the Russians agreed to bring the pipeline from the Caspian Sea, where they reckoned, at conservative estimates, there was 300 years this is 20 years ago, 300 years at current consumption levels of gas and oil under the Caspian Sea. So George W. and Vladimir Putin, Vladimir, come out to me ranch, man. Forget 9/11. It's all right. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. I know it's us, but we'll take care of it. We know it wasn't you. So please come across and come and stay at me ranch, man. And then we'll work out what we're going to do with the oil and gas under the Caspian Sea. And then they brought this pipeline. They started building the pipeline 20 years ago. Like within 3-4 days of 9/11, and it came down through the Tora Bora mountain range, which the Americans bombed. They used the B-52 bombers because they were looking for Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden. Well, they knew where he was because they built his cave complex. The CIA, the Alphabeti Spaghetti Group, they built the cave complex that he was hiding in, and so they said, oh, we need to get Osama bin Laden. So what we'll do is we'll bomb the Tora Bora mountain range because he's there. We know he's there, and we'll get him. Well, they had to bomb the Tora Bora mountain range to get the pipeline down through Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, to a warm water port eventually in Pakistan. He's not fish food. He never was. The Americans didn't... look, I'm not going to be disingenuous to the Americans, but I am. How would they know who Osama bin Laden is? Somebody with a funny hat and a beard. So the American SEALs, not the brightest in the world, will have gone in and gone, oh yeah, here, look, he looks like him. He looks like him. Has he got one of those hats on? Yeah. Has he got a beard? Yeah, that'll be him then. My hairy backside. Because Osama, the bin Ladens, are worth billions. And when it all kicked off in America for 9/11, they got some of his family straight out of the country. Oh, what? No, they flew them out. Yeah, as Terry says, he might be fish food now, but he'd be a bit whiffy after 20 years. Yeah, we didn't see him go in the drink, says Alan. I agree with you. I mean, can you trust these propaganda peddlists that go, yes, we captured Osama bin Laden, we have no footage. They all wear body cams. We have no footage, and, well, we buried him at sea. Why would you bury him at sea? If he's Muslim, he's got to be buried within 24 hours. But they buried him at sea. What was he, a Navy man? Rum, bum and backy? No, was he like? It's the propaganda peddlers. So there's political chaos in an area where there's tons of money under the ground. That's why it's chaotic. So I'll say to you, or I'll ask you, what's happened? Who's doing this? So Iranian rescue teams, as I speak, are currently searching for the helicopter carrying President Ibrahim Raisi, which reportedly crashed. Teams, and I've seen video of them literally legging it. They're just running through fog. Now, me being a cynical old tart, do I think that that's real? Not sure. I don't believe anything that comes through the groove tube because there's an agenda behind it. But it was social media that I saw it on. So it's almost instant. People are just uploading it. But camel joggies, they've got nice big 4x4s. So not sure. Really not sure. But you could see people panicking, running through the fog. And the first question I would ask is, which bright spark decided to go on a helicopter ride in the fog? I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm on an airplane, I'm fine normally on an airplane now. But I always just, as you're coming into land and you have to go through the cloud, you think, what happens if they've gone in the wrong direction and there's a mountain in this cloud? So we don't know whether this helicopter with the president and his foreign minister on it has actually landed, or whether it's been a bit of a bumpy land, or whether it's been a smashing land. But who would go in a helicopter ride? If somebody said to me, look, Adrian, it's only a 10-minute helicopter ride, but we're going to have to go through the fog, or it's going to be a 4-hour car drive or longer because of the fog, I'd say, I'm fine, we'll go in the car. So you can see on certain videos online that the teams are searching through thick fog on mountain roads and hillsides. Iranian state media, they're currently calling on the public to pray for their president. The helicopter was also reportedly carrying Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, if I pronounced that correctly. But it's just very strange. So Slovakian president gets shot because he's not towing the line with the other people. And now we've got an Iranian president and foreign minister who's the kingmaker and who's the big cheese. Who would benefit from Iran kicking off? So Iran finds out that the helicopter's been shot out of the air. Who would benefit from that? Thank you, Rich. Rich says military heli pilots also have an instrument rating, which means they can fly in weather, including fog. I agree with you. You know, they can fly blind, but you ask any helicopter pilot in this country, they won't take off in fog. They're not having it. So, what's that, Salman Rushdie or Willie Rushton? But here's the thing. So the president's helicopter is forced to land, and the two escorting helicopters naff off and leave him to it. So why? And that's the thing. If they're struggling to find out where the helicopter is, what happened to the two other helicopters who would be in contact with ground control, who could say, our current location is, and we've lost contact with the president's helicopter. So it's not going to be a massive area. If there is a crash site, it won't be massive. But it's all, and due to the weather, the Iranians haven't used locator beacons in their executive helicopters. How convenient is that? Now, I'm looking at this after doing my research on the assassination attempt on Fico. That's the Slovakian president. I wonder what the alphabeti spaghetti agencies make of this. I bet they've been working overtime quite a bit over the last few weeks. Gareth says even a helicopter out of control can be saved by using the rudders. Michael Malrich Smith proved this. He flew for Castle Air, featured on Treasure Hunt and Interceptor in the 80s. So, you know, the president's not going to go into a helicopter that's being flown by a numpty. That's for sure. And as I know from my time with Mohammed Al-Fayed and the Harrods organization, Mohammed only ever hired special forces. Only. Normally SAS, but there was I think like Kes Wingfield was SBS. And Trevor Rees-Jones was SAS. They were all special forces guys who were paid top dollar and were at the top of their game. So any president is going to have similar or like-minded individuals. But President Fico gets shot. Oh, there'll be a few questions asked there. Close protection squad didn't protect him, and he got shot a few times. Terry, I get what you're saying, but I was told within the Harrods organization, fact, that he was SAS. Fact. So I can only take from what I was told at a very high level within the Harrods organization. Ex-Paris, yeah, but he wouldn't have been hired by Mohammed, fired, if he wasn't. But they never told me he was a pilgrim. Let's keep an eye on this, because some people are like, was it World War I? Somebody shot some king or president or something. I really should have done my research before I started this live, but back in the day, you kill a king or a president, and all of a sudden it's bloody World War III. Neil Cunningham says the pilot was Ray Charles. I think Ray would have had. He would have been better at it, to be fair. In the field, Rich, it can still happen even with instrument rating. Pressure of job and human confusion is always possible. Thank you, Terry. Archduke Ferdinand. Great band. I also read that the Iranian aircraft are from the 70s. Unsure if that's correct or not. Well, ask the Israelis, because all their drones and all their missiles they were sending over were pretty pucker, were pretty new. I don't think the president, the grunts might end up on a helicopter from the 70s, but I think you'll find the presidents at that level, the elite, they travel in very new and very competent aircraft. It's a bit like the Americans paid Iran nearly $7 billion for some hostages. This was about a year ago. So what would happen to the $7 billion that were given to the Iranians by the Americans? Was it spent on helicopters, aircraft, missiles, drones? That would be convenient. I mean, $7 billion is going to buy you a few bits and bobs. USA Marines 1 and 2 are donkey's years old. Thank you, Alan. Rhys Jones enlisted in the 1st Battalion of the Parachute Regiment, served 1 tour of duty in Northern Ireland. Talking of which, thank you, Bad Wolf Project. Talking of which, and I want to get to some lighter stuff, because I don't want to wear you out. But in today's Mail on Sunday, I'm just going to have to show you this, because I believe it's a huge story, and the powers that be have been after these people. Was it 79? Can you remember when Earl Mountbatten was blown up on his boat? Well, there's a guy in the Mail on Sunday saying, "Oh yeah, I did that." It's a bit random to come out. It says, "I blew up Mountbatten," says IRA bomb maker in monstrous boast to Mail on Sunday. Claim will torment great nephew Charles, who saw Earl as a mentor. They just, this person that's in the paper said, "Oh, just casualties of war." But it is the randomness of stuff that's appearing now. There's no sort of linear storyline. I mean, this is 45 years old. And the intelligence services have always known, I believe, they've always known. But this guy's being allowed to go to the Mail on Sunday and go, "Oh yeah, it was me." 14 inch still on the ground in Whiz, Through, 14 inch. Are they still on the ground in the north? I think you'll find they are. Let me tell you about the Falklands, and then we'll get on to bashing the bishop and bashing the politicians and bashing Strictly dancers and bashing boxers. And now, this won't be on your radar, but it's something to keep an eye on. Neil. Paulie Galtieri, yes. GB and nonce. We will get to that. Let's do this now. So let's talk about this dirty nonce that's been outed in Teleland. Now I don't want you to speculate, because it's the same route as the Hugh Edwards thing. And those on the inside of the industry knew about Hugh, but they weren't allowed to kind of come out and say stuff. Not out, just out. And all the information that they are allowing. Now, remember, I've told you about sub judice. People are getting very worried now. But it's the maxim is in media. If somebody's been arrested, then you kind of back off. But you're not, sub judice is not applicable until they've been charged. And what they've done in the media, because it's a Sun on Sunday exclusive, what people are the speculation on social media, but there's no real detail. So I'm going to give you the detail as we know it. It's a TV sports presenter, and they have been arrested on suspicion of raping a child under 10. Now, I told you before, Jimmy Savile raped an 8-year-old girl on BBC property, but the investigation into Savile and others on BBC property, the only output was that Tony Blackburn had kissed a 16-year-old at some point in the 60s. Not that Savile had raped an 8-year-old female on BBC property. That's fact. So I'm kind of speculating here, but some people have massive kahunas. They don't care. And I don't know how the social media platforms are able to police this. How long is it going to be before the name is somewhere on social media? Now, if you remember back to the Hugh Edwards story, there was a lot of conjecture, and some really big YouTubers actually named wrong people because they thought they could. But as soon as the name came out, that particular video was pulled immediately. The child's identity is being protected, quite rightly, because no one's being charged. So if no one's being charged, you and I are not subject to sub judice. Now, the headline was TV sport host held in child rape quiz. That was the headline. We're told in the reportage that they were arrested at 4 a.m. on a home raid. That's what the police do. If they've got sufficient evidence, they do it early in the morning so that yeah, thank you for that, Gareth. There was a Twitter user called Andy Plum mentioned a celeb as a wrong 'un when he wasn't, and he had to pay £1,000 to charity of the celebrity's choice. I agree, but there was other YouTubers, because I watched it, and I thought, you're speculating on somebody's name because it's the BBC and it's all low-hanging fruit. And as it turned out, they were wrong. They were massively wrong. And if the celebrity that they named wanted to take them for defamation, there was a case there, all right? So the police arrested a male on suspicion of raping a child. They searched a property in southern England with computer devices and documents taken away for examination. The male was questioned and held for 18 hours and then released on bail pending further inquiries. So at the moment, he's being released on bail. He's not charged, and that is the defence. Once someone is being charged, irrespective of whether we know much about the case or not, once they're charged with something, you have to let the process of law take place. The allegation is historical. It's involved a child under 10 at the time of the offence. It happened the child was raped on more than one occasion over a period of time. And at the time, the male suspect was working in the television industry. His bosses have been made aware, although some of his colleagues are very unaware, and police were expected to make further inquiries into the suspect's background as part of the investigation. Now, I am sure that if it's one of the major broadcasters, considering what's gone on over the last 18 months with Brand and Edwards and Schofield, they will be making sure that they have brand protection. And I'm talking about the media branding, not the Russell brand. The media branding is protected so that they're not in the firing line, and everything will be watertight. I mean, if you look at Hugh Edwards, I have got some information that I want to bring to you when I literally get a moment that might actually make your hair stand on end. So that there is some speculation on social media, and it has gone into overdrive, trying to work out the sport he presents. Now remember that they have said he's a TV sports presenter arrested on suspicion of raping a child under 10. This is not the Gobs for Hire. This is a sports presenter. They present the program. They're not one of the hired hands that talk about the sport. Some people are saying, right, which presenter's not been on air recently, and there's all this speculation going through social media. But as I've just said, this could be another Hugh Edwards. But this is historical, remember? The reportage said the allegation is historical, involves a child under 10, and it was on more than one occasion over a period of time. A bit like the Rolf Harris case, where he had a relationship, an affair. And I don't think he was ever prosecuted for that. He was prosecuted for others and found guilty. That's why he did jail time. But yet another dirty nonce found in the TV industry. It must be full of it. Let's see what comes out. I believe over the next few days, it's going to be a feeding frenzy. But the newspapers, and especially The Sun, they are going to be very, very cautious. Simply because the last time, the Hugh Edwards story, they got themselves into a proper panshite. And the other media don't want, they don't want to be sued. They don't want sub judice, so that the editor ends up in front of the judge, and the judge says, so just explain to me what you were doing. And you felt it was right and proper in the public interest to publish the name. Yeah, Terry Wookford says we can all safely say. Can you remember? Sue Barker was quite a good tennis player, but remember the year that she was going out with Cliff Richard? She was unseeded. So, let me tell you about the Falklands. It's just become the most valuable piece of real estate on Earth. I mean, I'm not quite sure how they work. Well, I will tell you. It's definitely... According to evidence given to the Commons Environment Audit Committee, EAC, last week. Didn't see this in the press, did you? No, Adrian, didn't. No. Well, they wouldn't. They don't want you to know, because they want to make all the money for themselves. Who's they, Adrian? Well, let me explain. Russia has discovered an oil field in Antarctica, roughly 10 times the size of the North Sea's entire 50-year output. I'll say that to you again. Russia has discovered an oil field in Antarctica, roughly 10 times the size of the North Sea's entire 50-year output. So it's a bit large. Much of the field is believed to be in the Weddell Sea. Don't say, what? Google it. The Weddell, W-E-D-D-E-L-L, the Weddell Sea. It's just to the east of the Antarctic Peninsula and very much in the middle of the UK's sort of cheese slice down there, the British Antarctic Territory. Because we have some, and we have the Falklands. Now, in Antarctica, boundaries are just claims rather than solidly owned. Trust me, in that cold, there's nothing solidly ever. But it is of note that Britain's claims in the region overlap those of Chile and Argentina. So that's why the Argentinian president came out a few weeks ago and said, oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, Falklands are the Brits. Yeah, no, fine. As the Russians must have known and had a word with some of the locals, the Argentinians and the Chileans, going, lads, you'll never guess what we found. Found oil. Now, it's a perfect chance for Vladimir Putin to start causing trouble, according to what I've read. And it may have made the Falkland Islands the most valuable real estate on planet Earth. So Maggie knew. Of course they knew. They knew what was down there. They've been drilling everywhere on planet Earth just to get the oil and the gas out because it makes a few bob. So the Falklands suddenly is going to get very wealthy. Very. Because the Russians have found it. Now, obviously, the reportage in the British media are turning round and saying, "Oh, I say, you know those pesky Ruskies, they've found bloody oil." Well, you know, Vladimir Putin, he's just a complete and utter wrong'un. So we need to get rid of him. No, we don't. You watch the Tucker Carlson interview, yeah, wrong'un. It's all BS. All the propaganda peddlers, they're all going, "Oh, Vladimir Putin, he's just evil." Well, no, he's just looking after the Russian people, man. I've told you what Crimea is all about, that the Black Sea, and what's kicking off in Ukraine. I've been telling you for bloody 6-7 months. I told you what Israel's all about, told you what the Middle East's all about. I've told you what Ukraine's all about. I've told you. So Ukraine can't win this war. And Volodymyr Zelensky, on the Sniffy Zelensky, he's going to be told, "Here, mate, just wash all this money for us so we can make a bit of buns and then just give in and allow Vladimir Putin all the oil and the gas under the Black Sea via Crimea, part of Ukraine-ish." That's what they're fighting over. I mean, come on. Why do you think Russia invaded Afghanistan in the 80s? What, because they just fancied a holiday in Afghanistan? Don't be stupid. They were after the bloody oil. They knew about the Caspian Sea. They've known about the Caspian Sea for bloody donkeys, man. That's what they're after. They want to have energy independence. Everybody wants energy independence. Vladimir Putin's no fool. But if it suits a president, as in George W., then Vladimir's invited over. "Oh, Vladimir, let's get the oil out of the Caspian Sea, shall we?" And then when Vladimir's thinking, "Oh, right, I'll have a bit in the East Mediterranean, in Gaza, and I'll have a bit in Crimea. I'll just have a word with Zelensky, the dancer, the gay dancer." Have you not seen him dancing? He's the gayest straight man I've ever seen. And he needs to stay off the marching powder. I'll say that out loud. So Putin just is after energy independence, worldwide energy independence. And they're not taking prisoners. Pun not intended, considering what we're talking about. So the Falkland Islands, that's why the Argentinian president's like, no, it's fine, let the Brits have it. We need to get into the Antarctic. Pretty cold, though. Let's talk about, and we'll get to ITV and the Royals and the BBC and some of the deeper stuff around U-Turn Harry. Who would that be, Adrian? Do you know Sir Keir Starmer? Is he scaring you yet? Well, he's been a veggie, like vegetarian. He's been a veggie for 30 years. And seemingly, he was at this curry night, campaigning for a curry night. Now, I don't mind a veggie curry. Quite nice sometimes, a bit of a change. And he was campaigning at this curry night for the Labour Party, obvs. And he was given a doggy bag for the train journey home. Except the curry had chicken in it. A veggie for 30 years. So they give him a chicken curry to take home. And he ate the lot. He said, it's very tasty it was too. So the Vegetarian Society have come out and gone, oi, what are you talking about? A strict veggie would rather go hungry than eat meat. You're wrong'un. That's what I thought. 30 years. A veggie. And then he's just, whether he's had, a little squiffy, he's a little bit, ooh, that wine was rather nice. I could just fancy a curry. I mean, it's the same for me and you. We go out, have a few large ones, and then you think, what, kebab or curry? Or cheesy chips? Not my bag. I'd rather have a curry. But the fact that it was a chicken curry and he's a veggie, I mean, somebody must have said, yeah, just give him that chicken curry. He'll like that. That chicken curry's quite nice. Not if he's a bloody veggie, he wouldn't. Well, he's not really that stoic, is he? He's a veggie. And he eats a chicken curry. That's who we're talking about. That's the principle of the man. And then Wes Streeton's come out today. Not out, just out. And he said, oh, we can turn the NHS around. And Wes Streeting is going to be the kind of whatever minister. We're asking the Sun readers to give us a chance. Can you imagine the damage that consecutive governments, Labour and Conservative, the damage they've done to the NHS over the last 40 years? And he's saying, oh, give us a chance. Yeah, they want to get in there because all the billions that goes into the NHS evidently goes into other people's back pockets, including the doctors. We'll get on to Dr. Ranj in a minute. But the chicken curry eating, it was just a blip. It was very tasty, but it's just a little blip. What do you mean it's a blip? Well, it was just one curry. Can't blame a man after a couple of beers eating a chicken curry on the train on the way home. But as the Vegetarian Society have said, oh, you're strict veggie, would rather go hungry than eat meat. Mind you, there's loads of them in the Houses of Parliament, the Pink Palace, who love a gob full of meat. So, Sakia, you know how they kind of changed their language to be all cuddly and friendly? Well, Sakia has come out. Not out. Yeah, Raina likes a bit of meat. I've seen that reportage in the paper today as well. She's at it. Not the money or the tax, but scraping her knees. So Sakia is using this really cuddly language because, honestly, it must be killing him that he's measuring the curtains for number 10 and the data's coming out from the focus groups. Well, Sakia, I'm not so sure you're going to get into number 10. What do you mean? I've ordered me curtains. Have you ordered curtains or blinds, Sakia? For number 10, I'm going to, that yucky wallpaper that Boris put up. I mean, rich boy's not, he's got no taste. I've got to have a bit of taste. If I'm going to be in here for 8 to 10 years, then surely I should be allowed to. Pauli, yes, of course. It's the female line. And he's not, how they come out and go, all right, we've got this bit of paper with loads of words on it. And those words are like pledges. So we won't keep them, evidently. We just want to get in. Just general election. Oh, yeah, just this little card. By the time we get in, you can question us on these little pledges that we put on this little bit of card. It's obviously means shite. So we don't care. We don't care. Just get us into power and then we can all make the millions. Because there's filthy rich boy goes in on 160 odd, 170 odd grand a year, and in the last 12 months has made 120 million. Yeah, mate, what the foxtrot have you been doing to trouser 120 million in 12 months? That's 10 million a month. It's 2.5 million a week, according to the Daily Mirror. Obviously, they are propaganda peddlers. But how can Rich Boy, and that's why I call him Rich Boy, he's made 120 million in 12 months as Prime Minister of this country. Holy Jesus. And we're scrattling about because the utility bills are not being capped properly and we're having to pay more tax. Oh, yeah, we'll get rid of national insurance. Hang on a second. I thought national insurance was for the NHS. And all of a sudden that they're getting into power, almost, we're awash with money in this country. Can you remember 2008? Oh, yeah, austerity. No, we can't pay anything. They are filth. All of them. They're crooks. All of them. So as I have said in videos and previous lives, however much money Rich Boy went into number 10 with, that's how much he should be leaving. with him and his missus. No, don't give me the deniability. It's not my money, it's my wife's. It's my wife's business, not mine. No, you're wrongin'. Hang on a second. GB Patriot says this. Starmer was on Sunday brunch this morning, cooking salmon. Only his wife and daughter are vegetarian. You can't make it up. Like Keir Starmer. Somebody needs to ask him, how do you make a U-turn? Dunno, give us a pair of wellies and I'll make its eyes water. So Sir Keir no longer is using pledges. He's using fancy language. Yeah, he's a bloody barrister. He's an idiot. He's one of the legal profession. They're all idiots. Can't wait for AI to get in, because barristers are going to be no more, and lawyers are going to be no more, and they're all going to be put in graves. Bye. Bye. Hope you enjoy your life, you thieving tarts. Legalise extortion. That's all the legal profession is, and AI is going to do it all for us. So, see you later. Bye. So, Sir Keir is not using the word pledges. Can you remember when Tony Blair was like, oh yeah, we've written it down, so it must mean something. Instead, he's calling them the 6 doorstep offers. And I thought about this, and I thought, hang on a second, isn't that what Danny Baker did in the Daz advert? Knocked on the door. Oh, here we go, it's a doorstep offer. Because he believes that the Labour faithful are going to knock on the doors. Now, I'm from Sunderland, which is red. Always been red. All of it. Red. Ever. My dad, Labour councillor. Me, card-carrying member of the Labour Party. But then again, I've been the card-carrying member of the Conservative Party, and I've also been a card-carrying member of the Liberal Democrat Party, because they're all full of shite. So, Sunderland's red. Red, red, red. I mean, that's why Sunderland have got red and white on their footy top. Do you remember the Ed Stone? Give me a bit more information, GB Pegri. You put me on the spot, you're on. So, doorstep offers. I mean, which PR company have they hired to tell Sir Keir Starmer, here, Keir, look, instead of calling them pledges, because look, what happened to Tony Blair when he lied out of his derriere? Charles Linton, hey, Tony. So, when the derriere is like, they're lying. They're all lying. David Blunkett, for some inexplicable reason, is in all the papers at the minute, obviously earning a few bob from writing columns. Don't talk to me about columns. But this PR company's obviously said, look, right, Keir, what you need to do is, and I remember running Fired's radio station, and we hired this PR company, this marketing agency, who said, oh, this is how you need to market the radio station. And I was sitting there, literally bursting my incontinence pants. I was laughing so hard. And like, the gaffer said, Adrian, come here. What are you laughing for? I said, because it's all bullshit, mate. It's all bullshit. They're just trying to get money out of you by saying to you, oh, this is how you need to market the radio station. This is the style. This is what we need to be more disco. And we need to be, and I was like, these people are just taking your eyes out because they know that Mohammed's got a few billion, so they're just in there to make a few pop. It was bollocks. So somebody's gone into the Labour Party headquarters. Remember, they like to smear it all up the dirty protest, all over the floor, all up the walls. And they've gone, Keir, here it is, mate. This is what you want to do. John Prescott, a.k.a. the mouth of the Humber. My dad was friends with him at one point. Went to sea with him, merchant seaman. It's Royal Navy that's a rum bum and baggy. But talking to the people and saying, yeah, we've got some doorstep offers. So if Sir Keir Starmer or any of the Labour acolytes come knocking on my door and they go, oh, hello, have you seen our latest? Have you seen our doorstep offers? Brilliant. How much is Daz going to cost me? 5p? Do I get a special offer? Do I get some money off? A Tesco's going to come round my door and go, oh, there's a free shop, Mr. Allen. You can have that. Doorstep offers. I'm going to turn around to them and say, right, lads, do you want my doorstep offer? Oh, yes, Mr. Allen. What would that be? Foxtrot Oscar. Not that I'm grumpy or out. Yeah, there's Sunflower says I've got a Tesco club card. Yeah, well, if we're all in the same club, maybe Sakir, because he's got billions, he can give us a free weekly shop for a while. Hang on. Phil Jones Kilometre is dead. GB Paper, tell me what you're talking about, man. Pauline Makepeace. Oh, hello, Pauline. Did we wake you up? Defecating. Have you just kept up with that? You're wrong. Thought that was quite funny. Alexa. Oi, tart. Alexa. What are you doing going to sleep? I'm busy getting it on here. And you're ignoring me.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Thank Christ. Go back to sleep. Tart. Let's talk about ITV. Another one of the alphabetic spaghetti. The figures are going through the floor. Now, remember this. Go woke, go broke. Going through the floor. So let's look at GMB, which I thought was a union, to be fair. Back in 2020. So it's 2020 versus now. So it's 2020. Let's look at 2020 just before now, which would be just before lockdown. So, we went into lockdown March 2020. So maybe they're kind of a bit of Q4. The way it works, certainly in radio, it's kind of a rolling thing. So you have 4 quarters per year, 3 months per quarter, and you put diaries out into the field to see how many people are watching or listening. And as far as I'm concerned, look, like this, I know there's 250 people watching this and I've had 111 likes. So why aren't the TV companies using electronica, like for clicks and likes? Why aren't they using that? Oh no, we'll have somebody with a paper diary. Much more efficient. No, it's not. Use the electronica. This is 2024, man. So ITV 2020 to now 2024. And 4 years ago, this was before, I think, Piers Morgan. Have you seen some of the videos of Piers Morgan where they've trapped him with Heather McCartney? And he said, oh, yeah, I heard the tape of the answer message on Lady Heather McCartney's phone. And so they get him in, barristers questioning him. So did you hear the message? Yes. So how did you hear that? Well, I can't tell you. Can't name me source. Journalist, bullshit. So they said, oh, right, okay, so you heard it. Yes. And what did you do? Well, I can't tell you. Okay, so they cut to Heather McCartney, who they've, the barrister says to Piers Morgan, so if you've got no permissions, you shouldn't really, hang on. Oh, Terry, that's funny. That is funny. I'm not repeating it, but it's bloody funny. So they cut to Lady Heather McCartney being questioned. And the barrister says to her, so did you give Piers Morgan permission to listen to your answer messages? No. Did he ask for permission? No. Would you give anybody permission? No. And seemingly, it was around about the time that Paul McCartney and Lady Heather McCartney were splitting up. And he was on the phone, singing to her down the phone and trying his best to make the relationship work. And I mean, the indignity of it, the indignity of a national treasure, the indignity of a Beatle, one of the Fab Four. They changed life forever in every conceivable way, artistically. And Piers Morgan was listening to our answer service. Oh, yeah, somebody played it to me. And this is also the man that posted fake pictures on the front of the Mirror when he was the editor of the Mirror of seemingly squaddies beating Middle Easterners up in the back of an army vehicle. And he had to come out and say, oh, it's fake. Just saying. But he was on there 4 years ago, I think, and GMB had 1 million viewers, as opposed to 555,000 nowadays. So in 4 years, the viewership's halved. I'm going to read all your gags when I've finished tonight. Yes, Stuart. It was the front page of the Daily Mirror when he was editor, and there was a picture posted on the front of the Daily Mirror with squaddies seemingly beating up some prisoners in the back of an army truck, and the kickoff was massive. Kickoff was huge, and it turns out it was mocked up. It was all fake. They weren't actually squaddies. It's propaganda and mocked up. And Piers Morgan got away with it. Maybe that's why he's friends with Charles and Camilla. Because you know that Camilla had a lunch with Piers Morgan and Jeremy Clarkson. And they were... Jeremy Clarkson smacked Morgan a good one. Did he chin him? Nah. They were out at dinner together with Camilla. This would have been middle of last year. But the only thing that they can save GMB with is bringing back Piers Morgan. I mean, they've got Ed No Balls. They've got the shoplifter. They've just got, honestly, it's insipid and vapid and just vanilla and see-through. I mean, we want a bit of combativeness first thing on the morning. Gets us up. Yes, he did. Clarkson said it really hurt his hand. Well, he's not a boxer. He's not a puncher. But they were having brunch with the Queen Consort. I won't call her the Queen because when I call someone the Queen, it feels like it should be Queen Elizabeth II. So to differentiate from that, I always say the Queen Consort, because then we know who that is. Charles's mistress. And Lorraine, as in, the telly programme, not the woman, bless her, she was, 20 years ago, 1.5 million viewers daily. Now, 542,000. So she's cut her audience by a third. GMB's cut their audience by half. Bring back Piers Morgan, Lorraine. But she polls really well. Because most people, because of the Scottish accent, say, she's really honourable and honest, and I really like her. And I remember talking to someone when she was on talk radio back in, the 90s. And they loved her. The listeners loved her. But then we get to this morning. Scoof. And Holly. Now, Holly's legged it. So her, GB Patriot, is Kate Garraway still pleading poverty? Well, she said that she's had to take money out of her pension to cover some of the debt. Because HMRC, they don't let go once they've got their teeth into you. So she's having to pay the debts from the hubby. That's what she's talking about. So this morning it's gone from 1.6 million viewers to 530,000 viewers daily. Now, I can tell you this. I mean, don't get, Johnny Lydon from the Sex Pistols on. But when you put vanilla on the telly, is it supposed to get the female audience? The audience now is so complex and sophisticated. You can't just put a couple of nice looking people. Ben Shepherd. Vanilla. Now, he's an extremely experienced telly frontman. But if GMB's got rid of 2/3 of their audience, why have they put vanilla on this morning, which has lost, again, 1/3 of its audience? Now, maybe this should be telling the ITV execs, this is where we're going. And the way to do it is you need to show the people that you have as staff, and you need to say, this is where we're going and this is how we're going to do it. And the management need to take them. Not covering your backside and your derriere just because you get paid nicely. No. Where are the leaders now? 2024. Where are the leaders? Where are the people that stand there? Look at Rich Boy. He's not even jockey height, cock height, that boy. I mean, does he wear lifts? He's not even the billionaire. His wife is. We know why. Deniability. I'm a politician. So I would suggest to you, and I don't know how you feel about this, you can tell me in the comments. There you go. Amalia is target audience for this morning. And she says, both Ben and Kat are boring as heck. Kat has a screechy voice, which hurts my ears. Hammond has more oomph than any of the others. Well, Hammond did the usual stuff of getting somebody as a lavender relationship. Oh, I feel falling in love. Really? They're going to drop her from the dog show. You know, Paul, what's his face? The For the Love of Dogs or whatever it's called. And Paul O'Leary obviously passed away, bless him. And they had to find somebody who was going to do For the Love of Dogs. And they picked Alison Hammond. Have they gotten rid of Martin Frizzell? Have they really? Oh, might be able to tell you me stories then. They've potted Martin Frizzell because he was too old and white, yet he is very experienced and knows his job. Get the diversity hires or uni grads in and it goes south. Yeah, go woke, go broke. It's like with all the companies. If you're saying, oh, no, we're going woke and, we'll have a trans person front an ad campaign, and then literally your company dies on its arse. So it's not the clever dicks who, yes, I did agree in philosophy and theosophy, and let me just do what I need to do, and I'll turn things around. No, you bloody won't. Nobody with a bloody degree is worth anything. I've shit more intelligent stuff than those idiots. And they're letting all these university graduates come in and go, oh, I've been watching TV all my life. Well, Foxtrot Oscar, mate, because you have no clue. And they're all going, yeah, the diversity, DEI representatives, just get rid of them. Get rid of them. Why would they keep them? No reason. There is no reason. No clever reason and no business reason. So do you know something? I would start and have Companies House look at the way the companies are being run. Get rid of all the diversity stuff and say to them, oh, so you've knackered this up, haven't you? So you weren't working in the best interests of this company and you were a director of this company? Right, struck off. You can't be a director of any company for the next 20 years. Smashing. Lovely. Foxtrot Oscar, mate. They're idiots. And all the university do opinion yourself, because you're not allowed one unless it's about Palestine, in which case they'll probably kick you out of university. So you're not allowed and you have no capability. Anybody else that's going through university and putting yourself into 50 grand debt, stop it, man. Don't you get the system? They're putting you in debt so you can't get out of debt, so you'll do as you're told. Margaret Thatcher, we learned this in the 80s. Can't you remember? Margaret Thatcher. A striking man can't pay his mortgage. Get him a roof over his head. He'll never strike a day in his life. There you go. That's how they stop the strikes. Put a man in debt, he'll never strike a day in his life. He wants to put a roof over his head, and the missus will be, you're not getting any tonight. You're not on a promise. You're not getting any. You're not on a promise. What do I do then? You get back to bloody work. Like in the miners' strikes, the steel strikes, the miners' strikes. Scabs. That's why they went back to work. No money. He's not getting any. The wife put a block on it. Yeah, as Alan said, 5 years of uni to flip burgers in Mackey's. So it's all... So regular daytime TV viewing. Let's get back on track. It's the end. It is the end. Now, if you can scrape a few bob because you're running adverts, but the people that want eyeballs are going to go to stuff like this, YouTube and Netflix and Amazon. They're going to put their money elsewhere because the game has completely changed. Hang on. 8. Can I spread your word within my local community? Mine, you can do whatever you want, sir. So if you look at how figures, and they're a third of what they were 4 years ago, that's not going to get any better. So ITV and other media companies are going to have to work out whether they will accept lower viewing figures and still charge enough money for it to make it worthwhile for the advertisers. That's what it's all. The end of regular daytime viewing. It's done, it's finished, it's over. Go woke, go broke, or just Foxtrot Oscar. And in telly and in radio, it's like the football game. It's been ruined by the managers. Brian Clough knew it. The agents, they've ruined it all. Like my football club, there's a player there that his agent continually has said he's leaving in the summer. He's leaving in the summer. The fans don't want him to leave, but his agent has said he's leaving in the summer. And is there anything that we can do? Well, no. The boy has talent. Footballing careers are very short, mid-30s if you're very, very lucky. This kid's 20, early 20s. So what used to be the system, the regularity, whether it was telly or radio or media in the last 40 years, it's all changed. Why has it changed? Market forces. It's changed because the youth now, and they're saying that kids are watching stuff. No, they're not. They're not. I ask the youngsters, which is a very condescending word, and I don't mean it to be, but they're much younger than me. They're 40 years younger than me. I ask them, what do you... No, I don't watch telly. Not even Britain's Got Talent. Oh, no, what do I want to watch that for? And Eamon's not very well at the moment with his back. But Eamon and Ruth, the reason why people love them is there's a one word, and you don't get it from other presenters. It's called authenticity. So you know that Eamon can be a bit of a boy, bit of a joke, bit of a misogynist at times, but very gently. And Ruth just keeps him in tow. It's a great presenting partnership. But they don't want him. So he's gone over to GB News, bless him. And I do wish him well with his health, because back problems are not funny. But now it's about authenticity. So when I come and do these lives, as I've said to you before, I come and do these lives and I do them in a particular way. Why do I do them in a particular way? One, they're not monetized. So you and I can have a really honest and open adult conversation. You texting and I get a chance to read some of them. And I just give you my 60 plus years of life and experience and hopefully a little bit of wisdom. But the reason why the critical thinkers have all graduated towards this channel is because there's some really, and again, this sounds condescending, and I really don't mean it this way, but I love the fact that you are brighter than me. I love the fact that you have life experiences in different parts of life that you can bring to this channel. And if I talk about, for example, I don't know, Belfield, and we talk about prisons, I've never been in prison. What would I want to go to prison for? I've tried my whole life to get out of Sunderland and to stay out of jail. Because, it's not easy in Sunderland growing up. It's tough anywhere in the northeast, especially in the north. None of these shandy drinking southerners. But, and I say that in all affection. Because all we're doing is just walking each other home, eventually. But it's these idiots. Terry, you're wrong. These idiots that I've been to university. Well, mate, I haven't. And I can buy and sell you 10 times before you you wake up first thing on the morning. And it's all go woke, go broke. And I'm so happy and pleased that, have you noticed, the zeitgeist at the moment is getting back to common sense. Because we've had enough. We've got this idiot, Sir Keir Starmer. Notice how Savills file went across his desk and went in the bin. Didn't do anything about it. File 13, seemingly. So if you look at the media companies, let me get myself back on track. The reason why I do things the way I do things is because I want to bring, I want to bring my joy. I want to bring the stuff that I enjoy doing, which is an intellectual rigor. I don't want to do the vacuous, superficial shite. I don't. We get loads of that in loads of other bits of media. I mean, there's so many YouTubers that have taken bits of what I've done and applied them to their YouTube channel, which I think is brilliant. I love the fact that they've done that, just to make their YouTube channel a little bit more successful. And if it does, wonderful. But all I ever want from this is for adults with life experience and intellectual rigor to be able to come and talk and converse about stuff in life that we know. The brown stuff keeps hitting the fan and nobody ever keeps doing anything. And it's all the George Carlin gag where, do you think that you have any control? Look at politics. They give you two options and you think you've got control? It's all a fabrication. If you look at Schwab, if you look at Ursula von der Leyen, if you look at any of the politicians, look at Australia. I cannot believe what's happening in Australia. The Australians are literally being bent over and Mr. Long Dong is coming over and go, how hard do you want it? So they can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. And I was sat in the airport, and I know this is a bit of sort of a stream of consciousness, but I was sat in the airport in passport control and I looked at it and I thought, do you know something? If my biometric passport is on a list somewhere and somebody hits a button and says, your name's not on the list, you're not coming in, I won't be able to fly anywhere. It's like the Chinese Communist Party. If you brass off, like communism, if you want the East versus West and communism versus commercialism, if you wish. But can you imagine if somebody in the Chinese Communist Party, you've been disrespectful to the party, and they go, you're not flying anywhere. Can't go anywhere. Just simply because you've brassed somebody off who's sitting there in front of the computer. Your name's not down, you're not going in. And I thought, that's how easy it's going to be for somebody somewhere in an office to decide whether I can fly or not at any point in the future. And like this, the digital currency in Australia and the digital ID in Australia and Canada. How the hell are we getting to this? I mean, I know, George Soros, Taylor Swift. Please! It burst my fucking eardrums! What? She's shit, man. She's literally the worst artist I've ever seen in my life. And yet the whole fucking world goes, oh, I'm a Swiftie. She's owned by George Soros. That in itself is enough reason not to allow your ears to bleed again. And I get it. It makes my Tourette's kick off. I just hate. No, that's a strong word. I dislike very intensely any music that comes out of her gob, because it's not music, it's not the Beatles, it's not the Rolling Stones, it's not Led Zeppelin, it's insipid guitar country. Ugh. She makes me want to puke. So we are getting to a point where the farmers are next. That's why the farmers in France and Germany and Spain and Holland have all been saying, help us, help us. Oh, Stuart, she's going to be there in Dublin in June. Don't, mate. Please don't buy a ticket. Please don't. I mean, George Soros will probably have me taken out. Boston Breaks technique. But, and I get it. I like the young girls They see her as a hero. She's no Maya Angelou, is she? And we've got, grandmothers allowed now back out on the road. And they are ringing every bit of emotion about Sarah and the fact that now they're doing a song for and with Sarah on stage. I mean, how can they ring that out? There's now very few artists I will actually pay my money to see. Very few. I would rather go into an ancient church that was built in the 1100s. But back in the day, I was playing some really edgy stuff on the radio, like my soul and dance stuff. I was one of half a dozen people that brought house music into this country. House music. Paul Oakenfold. I remember talking to him about DJing back in '88 when he was a PR for Champion Records. Paul will know what I'm talking about. And we talked about the state of music. And he went on to be one of the biggest DJs in the world and made his own music. But when I was talking to Steve Silk Hurley, I was playing Jack Your Body, Steve Silk Hurley, a year before it got into the chart. I was talking to all of the house music artists that were being brought across from Chicago. And do you know how we got garage and house music? I'll give you this for free. 2 nightclubs. One in Chicago, the Warehouse, and one in New York, the Paradise Garage, if you want to be posh. I agree with Paulie Galtieri. Music is literally shit nowadays. It is. So let me tell you the history of house music. And literally every single house music artist that you can think of, I interviewed back in the 80s. I was right on the cutting edge of house music and going out into the nightclubs and playing it. So the Warehouse in Chicago was a gay club. Paradise Garage, not so much, but still. So it was the sound systems in both of these clubs that could enhance the kind of thump, 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 thump of house music. And the Warehouse became house music, and the Paradise Garage became garage music. And then the Americans just sent it over. So literally back in 84 onwards, Marshall Jefferson, Steve Silk Hurley, all of the house music artists, they all came into my radio studio and I talked about it. And it was around for a couple of years, but it's Colonel Abrams, mainstream. He's dead now. My cousin saw Clapton last week in Liverpool. He's 79. Oh, Phil. I bet Clapton was a bit tasty, though. I mean, guitar with the Beatles, George Harrison revered him and then nicked his wife, I think. Or did Clapton nick George Harrison's wife? Patty Boyd. It's, with my measured head on, I can say that the current music, so what music is meant to do, it's meant to get the disposable income out of your pocket into the record company's pockets. And the way they did it was just by marketing music, by literally just reflecting a generation back to you. So if you look at the 70s, we went from sort of Beatles and Stones and the Manchester, the Liverpool, well, it wasn't the London lot, and it was all the blues. They were all influenced by the blues. And you then went into the more rocky, heavy, weighty, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin of the early 70s. Then you get into kind of glam rock with the Sweet and Slade, and it's so magical. And then you get into sort of the mid-70s where America's trying to impose disco on us, and we get to 77, 78, and then, 76, punk started. I remember reading the Times in 1976 talking about, the Stranglers. Oh, what a band. Peaches. Now there's a song. You would never, look at 2024. Where would you... The Stranglers, Peaches, after this or some point over the next couple of days, go and listen to it. Who are the artists that would make great music like that? ELO, another great band. Cockney Rebel, come up and see me sometime. And Mr. Soft, I think, was my best. My favourite, golden brown, texture like sun, lays me down with my man, she runs. It's all about heroin, golden brown. Dire Straits, not bad. Queen, oh, yeah, Freddie. So where all of this came sort of out of the 70s and then into punk, and then punk became the electronica sort of. Steve Strange and Spandau Ballet and Duran Duran, and then we get into the 80s and it becomes American Stadium Rock, and I think that's where we lost it. We had in sort of the early 80s, we had the Miami sound, which was A&R guys were going over to Miami, bringing it back. Day of the Races and Night of the Opera, brilliant albums, brilliant albums. If you take Queen at Live Aid, they talk about them being the best act at Live Aid, but nobody talks about Led Zeppelin in America, and Led Zeppelin won't allow anyone to hear their set from Live Aid because they said it wasn't good enough. Very interesting and such a shame. So we go through house music and we get into the Manchester stuff that I was breaking in the clubs and playing on the radio. And then it kind of went into Britpop, like kind of the Manchester Happy Mondays, Stone Roses, into the kind of Cockney Wide Boy stuff. And then with sort of the mid 90s, it just died. Music credibility just died. And it's the same with media credibility. It's the same with TV credibility. You can't just go, they're really pretty, let's stick them on the telly. Because people want authenticity. And if you look at the sort of the encapsulated 25, 28 years between the kind of mid-Beatles, 67, 68, Sgt. Pepper, all the way through to Britpop in the mid-90s, that had rawness and authenticity. And that was all taken out because the managers and the record companies were literally sucking the life out of creativity. But it's authenticity. It's not necessarily creativity, but it's authenticity. Which artist nowadays would you see? Motown. I mean, my favorite. There's a couple of them, but they're all underground Motown stuff. There's Do I Love You? Indeed I Do, which I know is a Northern Soul song, and everybody quotes it as possibly their favourite Northern Soul song. The Osmonds were rubbish, apart from Crazy Horses. And my other one is Abraham, Martin and John. What the world needs now is, literally just saying it to you, is making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. So basically what Tom Clay was the artist. And what Tom Clay did, I think he was a producer within Motown. And what he did was he took Abraham, Martin and John, he took the assassinations of President JFK, his brother, and Martin Luther King, and went to some school and talked to the kids and said, what is segregation? And the children are going, I don't know. And was asking them really innocent questions about really big, weighty topics. And he took that and put it over what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And I swear to you, if you can, listen to it. Because, no, Andy, behave with Jive Bunny. I'm being serious. Listen to it and you'll get it. America was in such turmoil at the end of the 60s. And Berry Gordy had always said to like Marvin Gaye and all the big male and female artists and groups, that he would not allow any political songs on the label. But Tom Clay, Abraham, Martin and John is 50 years later as applicable today as it was 50 years ago when it was released. And it's an underground song. It was on Motown, but so was Do I Love You? Indeed I Do, which just gets you there. And that's what music's meant to do. That's what music is meant for. It's to elicit emotion from you. It's to elicit passion and to be at one with your tribe, with your people, with, I mean, you know, Sex Pistols and Stranglers. Wasn't a Buzzcocks fan, but some of the X-Ray Specs, Polystyrene, AC/DC, cool, blimey. Two Tribes, Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. We all know the story from the Tube, and Trevor Horn. And do you know on Relax, Trevor Horn took, you know, the kick drum from a drummer, and it was Led Zeppelin's Bonzo. He took the kick drum from a Led Zeppelin song and turned that into the bass rhythm for Relax. That's creativity. That's authenticity. That's what music is meant to do. And it creates. It creates. Now, Swifties, I know I keep going on about this, but, and I know they write songs, they're creative artists, but it's like the media, the telly. I don't want my politicians to be vanilla. I don't want my heroes to be PR'd to within an inch of their lives. I want them to be broken. I want them to be edgy. I want them to make mistakes. I don't want cancel culture because somebody said something wrong 25 years ago. I want them to live and breathe authentically and allow the music to be. Oh, can I tell you something? I was going to tell you this. Here's an example for you. That's a very good point. Thank you, Gareth. I'd argue that the music industry would say, well, it's ours now. You don't own it. Same as Doctor Who is now no longer for white men, according to some angry and offended woke entity. I do. But they've killed it. They've killed the music industry. Now, it was known that in the sort of Jamaican reggae music industry, they all sounded the same, a lot of them, because they were all going, right, I want to sound like that, so we'll do that, we'll nick the rhythm track, and then we'll just add something. It's about money. It's all about the Benjamins. And as some Napoleon Bonaparte, authenticity is allowed in 2024. I think not. I agree with you. But it's when even the comedians are not allowed to say stuff. I mean, look at the stuff that's happening in Scotland. That's what I was going to offer you an example. Now, only people of a certain age will know this and understand this. But can you remember Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart? It's one of the greatest songs that's ever been created. Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart. And you know that it was the 45th anniversary of Ian Curtis. Ian Curtis died yesterday, 45 years ago, on the 18th of May, 1980. 44 years. And there are kids who have possibly never heard the song, and they won't know who Ian Curtis is. They won't know who Joy Division is. And they've never, ever heard Love Will Tear Us Apart. Fucking hell. Now, there are songs that you and I can mention that kids go, what? And I know there's loads of these reaction videos on YouTube where they listen to either the Beatles for the first time or say Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart for the first time. And you can see in their face the emotional engagement that the song brings for somebody who has the ears to listen. But 44 years ago yesterday, Ian Curtis took his own life and sadly didn't see the success of Love Will Tear Us Apart. But what a song that is. Harry Nilsson, yeah, another great artist. And like you, Stuart, I love watching them. You can literally see the light bulb go on in their eyes. You can see it. And the magic that their ears are hearing. You can't play Taylor Swift to them. You can't play Ed Sheeran. And I think it's such a shame that... So here's an example. I was talking about ITV. Let's get back on track. We're talking about ITV. And the BBC, you know they're going to get rid of Blue Peter, don't you? CBeebies, the kids don't watch that anymore. So you're getting a generation coming up now with YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, all the others. And the BBC, on the one hand, you've got to feel sorry for them, but on the other, they've made their own bed. They've tried to make a mid-morning TV show. Have you ever watched it? I wouldn't even know who the presenters are. And if they're saying, well, you know, there's pensioners who'll watch it. Wow, yeah, man. They're probably... Some of the pensioners are a lot more switched on than they think. Martin Sullivan, I agree with that. I don't think they've given Blue Peter a chance. But it's coming. CBeebies are gone. All the wonderful memories that you and I have, we're not giving that opportunity to the kids or the grandkids. They're never going to know. Their life is different. I mean, can you imagine being a child or, you know, a little and into a teenager up to sort of 16 or 17-year-old nowadays? What the hell? As Sunflower says, music used to be so much fun. I know Blue Peter hasn't been great for a few years, but that's possibly why. And as someone just said about Doctor Who, I watched it all the way until they decided they were going to have a woman as Doctor Who. That's not misogyny. That's just my Doctor Who. And I don't think they've had a great idea since the Daleks. Oh, Harold Lloyd and Monkey. Monkey. Wonderful. Wonderful. I mean, for James Whale to discover him. Monkey. Bow wow. So now... what the BBC is having to do in certain examples, and ITV, they're giving out 3-month contracts and pay freezes. But I tell you, I bet the management still get their fees. I bet the management still get their shares. I bet the management still get their kickbacks. Oh, you bet your sweet bibby. But the BBC is going to have to go to a funding model like Netflix and Amazon Prime. And look, if I can have something that I can buy into, I would happily buy into it. I've told you that the BBC is carrying a lot of deadwood. But if I can have a model like Netflix where I can, you know, the family have a subscription to Netflix so we can just drop in anytime we want. Same with the BBC. But they've got to remember there's a heritage that we've paid for that is not theirs to tarnish or trash or give away for free. We, the British taxpayer, have paid for that since the 1920s, 30s when it all kicked off. So that's what's going on with telly. Can I give you some good news? Because this week we call it Radar Day on a Thursday, where all the figures come out for all the radio stations. So some people go, Radar's out tomorrow. Do you know that Greatest Hits Radio has taken over Radio 1 in listening figures? Fact. Greatest Hits Radio has more listeners than Radio 1. Fact. Now, I looked at that thinking, blimey. All the ex-BBCers, the sharp ones, the ones that are not hanging on to the wreckage, they've gone. So local BBCs are continuing to decline. And somebody somewhere is going to have to bite the bullet and make a decision, because it's sucking £100 million a year, £100 million a year out of the BBC for the local BBC radio that we get. And I believe it's down to the lack of engaging talent. I can go to any radio station, and I can, because I've done it for 40 odd years, 45 years, 79. I know what to do, and I know how to do it. And I'm not going to go, oh, hello, FL. A bit like they talk about vacuous, superficial shite. And if I could be so bold as saying that people that have lived life don't want superficiality, they don't want vacuous dross. They want something that's going to engage them intellectually. Now, they might like a bit of vanilla every now and again, but the reason why people like vanilla is sometimes they like a bit of chocolate. What's the old martial arts saying? Where there is light, there is also darkness. Know the difference? Global is a company that owns radio stations. Now they own Heart and LBC. I've worked for both of those radio stations or regionals. Capital, I did when I was at BRMB. Smooth, Radio X and Classic FM. They own all of those. Do you know how many listeners per week they've got at the moment? 27.6 million. Now that's a nice sell to the advertisers. 27.6 million listeners weekly. And the BBC is withering on the vine. I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to regionalise it. They're just going to have to bite the bullet and go, okay, so we've got 3 BBCs, Manchester, Liverpool, Lancashire. They've got in the northwest and in the northeast, they've got BBC Newcastle and BBC Tees. And it may be that they have specialised programmes, drive and breakfast for the local market. But if you look at commercial radio in the northeast, you've lost TFM and you've lost Metro. You've got Smooth. The marketplace is getting very overcrowded. So it's the same with TV. You've watched this for at least half an hour this evening. Some of you will have watched this for 2 hours. But you're not watching Heritage TV, Legacy TV. You're not watching what ITV or the BBC or anybody else is pumping out. You've decided to go away from that. Because you want something that's going to just fire the synapses and get them going a little bit. Not necessarily from this channel either. I'm not one for criticising Gary Lineker, but he's actually come out with a great idea over the last 24 hours. It's in the press today. He's saying that there should be more cookery taught in schools. Now, when I was at school, I loved cookery classes because, A, you got to eat the food afterwards. Didn't always make it home, but he reckons the pupils are being failed and now need to be taught how to cook. Because it's the one thing we all do, and we all do it until our dying breath, possibly, is eat. Love a bit of grub. But this is from a man that promoted crisps. And he's not a fat lad exactly, is he? So I kind of agree with him. I mean, the summer holiday is coming up in August. Where we're going, there's wine tasting and cookery courses. Now, I'm very excited by that because Sicilian food and Italian grub is, most people go, it's just pasta and pizza. Oh, I think you'll find it's not. When was the last time you had an arancini? Quite. And Sicily's an island, so learning how to cook professionally, learn to cook fish professionally and octopus and lobster and, I can't wait. But I think Gary does have a point that some of, hang on, what was that? Nathan Diamond. Nathan! Not the newbie. Nathan Diamond, loved your phone-ins on Century 106 here in the East Midlands. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate that. Loved them. Loved doing them. God, we had so much fun. Maybe I'll tell you some of the stories that I wasn't able to tell you at the time. And I thought, Gary does, it's bizarre because some of these chefy types that do these programs and have campaigns, gotta save the chicken. Well, it's better than choking the feckers. And then the double-barreled Horsley whirly thingy. He's like, oh, I'm going vegetarian. I'm going to eat 30 vegetables in a week. Mate, do you know how boring that sounds? But Gary's got, I think he's got very, very, very good point. One of my cousins, he was a chef. Very, very. I mean, I love going around to his house because he would just rustle something up in like 30 seconds and it would be a cordon bleu meal. That kind of talent. And I've known some of my ex-partners, including the brand new Mrs. Allen. I love the people that don't necessarily follow a recipe. They just know instinctively what needs to be added for it to taste amazing. And as I've said many, many, many times on many of my phone-ins, cooking for someone is as close you're ever going to get to having sex with them without taking your clothes off. Because the amount of preparation, the amount of consideration, the amount of thought that goes into someone else enjoying their food, that's as close as you're going to get to literally having sex. And I do believe that the kids, we need to teach them about money, because it's getting to the point where cash will never exist. We need to give them the basics of cooking. You know, bit of rice, bit of this, bit of that. Give them the basics and then give them a couple of signature dishes, whatever they want to do. Just maybe to impress when they go to university and have all that debt. But I'll ask you a question. Have takeaways made us lazy? All that MSG. Have takeaways made us lazy? And back very quickly to the BBC. Do you know they've blown nearly 170 million quid on chasing licence dodgers? Equivalent to 200,000 licence fees. They're paying a logistics company, Whistle and the Royal Mail, £33.8 million a year for 5 years to send out letter reminders. It's because there's no pain in it for them. Now, living on my own for a while, the BBC got its claws into me. And I said, all right, then I'll pay up. And you pay so much per month. And it just went on for years. I can't even remember. But at the end, when I left one place to move into another, and the other already had a TV license, so I contacted them and said, right, I'm a year up front. I'm moving into a new place. Can I have the year's worth of money that I've already paid? It was like getting blood out of a stone. They'll take you to court if you don't pay them, but if you pay them ahead of time and then you move in with someone that already has a TV license, they won't give you your money back. I didn't get my money back. They made it so complex and so difficult. And I was picking the phone up, talking to some people who were very nice, and then I was writing to them. And after about a year of trying to get my money, it was only about 170 quid. After a year, I gave up. I just thought, stuff them. But that's a BBC for you. They're quick to take you to court to get money out of you, but they're not so quick to return the favour. Bar stewards. Can I talk about something really contentious? I know we've been going over 2 hours. I am going to go for a little while longer because I can, really. I am parched, but can we talk about just a couple of things that I know they're kind of out there, but they're not out there because I don't think people have... Well, all I'm going to say is this. The King Charles painting. I'm going to ask you a question, so it'll be 1 for yes and 2 for no. The King Charles painting. Do you like it? Somebody's put 3 already. The King Charles painting, the red Baphomet. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Just stop being funny. Just 1 for yes and 2 for no. I genuinely want to know. Because I've looked at it and I'm kind of... Maybe if I stand in front of it, I might get it because there's loads of different reds in it. But Is that like, whoever, nobody likes it. Is that the kind of stuff? 1 for yes, 2 for no. King Charles painting, the recent one that was unveiled. Loads of people don't like it. Okay, thank you for your vote. Yeah, Roman. Should we get to... I mean, I think it's quite clever. I think it's over a lot of people's heads. King Charles will have had the best artists and paintings. I mean, the Queen had Leonardo da Vinci collection. Oh, that's brilliant. Who said that? Rich says, could be worse. Rolf could have done it. He did do one of the Queen, didn't he, Rolf? Worthless now. I mean, on the one hand, I think it's quite challenging, the painting. And on the other hand, it's not really your normal royal portrait. But I don't think that Charles would have unveiled it if he didn't like it, if he didn't think it was great artistry. So I'm swithering between 1 and 2. On the one hand, I do like some of the artistry, and on the other, it's like, oh, couldn't he have just done, usual stuff? Yeah, brilliant. Can you see what it is yet? I want to talk about a theory that is becoming more widespread around Catherine, Princess of Wales. It's 142 days since she was last seen in public. Now, forget she went to the garden centre. No. It was a doppelganger. And the bit in the stripy jumper, that was AI. And the picture with the kids, that was photoshopped. So I just know that there is something going on. Now, if she is having chemotherapy, she's going to have chemo for 6 months. So she's really not going to come out. But Kensington Palace told us in January she was going to be back on royal duty in April. And then they told us later on it was going to be May. And now she was at Trooping of the Colour in June last year for King Charles's birthday. And she's not going to be there. She's not. So they're just distracting you with other stuff. Like the Marchioness Cholmondeley. Rosie. Now we know, I mean, when I was a kid, as far as I was concerned, pegs were something you got off the rag and bone man that came round the streets. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to elaborate. Bad enough for the Battenberg, for God's sake. But, and they were always wooden ones. I always loved wooden pegs. That's my version of pegging. So, no, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm off my head. So there are 2 theories being promulgated. And what we have to do, we just literally have to sit here and watch. And all that's going to happen is she's not going to turn up for Trooping of the Colour. So it doesn't take Einstein to work out that there is something afoot. We don't know what it is, but we will have the confirmation that there is something afoot. Now, it could be something as simple as she's just taking her medicine, if you will, and is just dealing with all that. But where's the kids? Kids don't have cancer. And remember, Catherine, and I'll tell you this again, Catherine had an operation. They had a look at what they took out, and they found pre-cancerous cells. She doesn't have cancer. And the chemotherapy is preventative. And if that is so, why is it taking nearly 6 months? She was seen just after Christmas 2023. She's not being seen in 2024. And all this nonsense around AI and Photoshop and different bits and pieces. Look, I couldn't get away with that bit of footage in the garden centre, Windsor Garden Centre. And people were like, oh yeah, it's her. Should have gone to bloody Specsavers. But the other theory that is getting traction is divorce. And as Sunflower said, to be fair, we've not seen Harry's kids either. I'm going to give you that theory in a moment. But the theory is that it could be divorce. Well, if it is a divorce, then look, it's 2024. It's a modern monarchy. Just let it be so. But why is the Marchioness Cholmondeley, Rosie, why is her son with the only child walking into the church? You've seen the reportage yesterday and today of her son George with the king walking in holding his Batman cape. Why would they get that over George? Don't know, do you? But there is something afoot. There is something happening. And as I say, the press are not reporting anything. The press zipped. So there's an agreement gone on between the palaces. So the palaces will have gotten all the editors in going, look, lads. And then are being told. So they will know. And suddenly there was this flame of, somebody said, I know someone who used to work in the palace and she's in a coma. She took some sleeping tablets in December and, well, she's not very well. Stuart, I agree with you. The silence is deafening. It's saying everything. Now, if Catherine has had a medical emergency or is seriously ill, then the country are not going to turn on the monarch. They're not going to turn on the royal family. They're not going to turn on royalty because I think this country quite likes having a monarchy. They are our pastoral carers, if you wish, and they are the lineage back 1,000 years. So in Athelstan, 923. So, or Alfred the Great, if you want. But what the bloody hell's going on? Because there is something going on. And unless they are trying to get towards the end of the year because something else in the world's going to happen, remember the Black Swan event? Don't think this is it. But if they know what's going to go on in 3 to 6 months and something absolutely catastrophic has happened, then they know they've just got to get past that line. But Charlie's going to be trooping the colour for his birthday, and she's not. Unless there's something that has happened and they're moving us beyond that so that they can normalise something without the country turning on them. But if they start to do, if there's any shenanigans behind this, this could be the end of the monarchy. Very obvious, the chemo hair loss, yes, of course. But why hasn't she come out with a scarf around her head? Because there's lots of people that have this kind of treatment regularly and have the same response. So why hasn't Catherine just come out and gone, look, I know you've all been worried, as are the kids. We don't want to do anything that's going to scare the kids. So you have to understand that with chemo, I've lost my hair. And for any woman, that's a real challenge and a difficulty. It makes sense. Yeah, lizards don't have hair. It makes sense. But let's get to Harry, because somebody did ask this question a little earlier. Harry is always in the UK for Archie's birthday. And I heard something from a very, very, very reputable source. Has Harry had his wicked way with somebody, palace staff or something? I mean, look, he was having a jump with that female jockey in the pub car park or in a bit of grass next to the pub. So he's not that classy. So maybe he's had a little bit of a, shall we have a dance, darling? Oh, here we go. Poof. 9 months later, oh my God, it's got ginger hair. So if as Terry Walkfit says, Harry had more than a a few little encounters with Palastefo. I'm sure. I'm sure he was young, dumb, and full of cum. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Young, dumb, and full of coke and weed, according to the front page of the Sun. He was put into rehab that dealt with heroin rehab, and I've got the News of the World front page for that. They said he was put into a specialist rehab that dealt with that, but he wasn't necessarily being dealt with that. So he's had a tough time with the recreational gear. But could that be true? The reason why we never see him, and the reason why Harry's over here for Archie's birthday, it just doesn't sit right, does it? So your son's in America, and every time he has a birthday, you leg it over to the UK and leave your son. But if your son's over here, and remember, this is fact, that every single royal birth that then puts that child onto the line of succession always has to be witnessed by a nominated member of the royal household. So who was there when Meghan was Archie? No one. Moon bump? Anyone? I thought that was quite incendiary, that Harry might be Archie's dad, but the mother was royal staff. And who cares, really? But it's the lies that they promulgate. It's this pantomime. Now, I don't know whether it was surrogate, as Lady C keeps alluding to, but ultimately they wouldn't, whatever the real story, they wouldn't want reality spoiling their good story. But let's watch, because we've only got to wait another 12 months. Archie's birthday next year. Let's see if Ginger Sphericals turns up again without a damn good excuse. And finally, Esther. I think I've talked about just about everything I wanted to talk about this evening. Oh, no, I haven't done Belfield yet. I will do that in a moment. I don't know whether you stayed up last night for the Tyson Fury Usyk fight. Let me tell you what they're not telling you. The fight, he lost. Usyk won. Brilliant. Good fight? Yeah, I think so. I mean, Tyson Fury can take a dig. I mean, he was out on his feet. But did you know that earlier this week, a boxing journalist named Dan Raphael reported that the winner of last night, Ring of Fire, I thought you got that after a really hot curry, they would hold the undisputed championship for less than 2 weeks. All of them. He's got all the belts, Usyk. He's only going to hold one of them for 2 weeks, which is even shorter than the reign of the previous undisputed champion, Lennox Lewis, who held the belt for 5 months. What is it? Well, contracts are mandating that the winner of the bout vacate. So last night they won the IBF title ahead of long-time mandatory Filip Hrgović's upcoming fight against WBA World Heavyweight Champion Daniel Dubois. So Usyk won all the belts last night, and he's going to have to surrender the IBF belt in 2 weeks. I agree with Rich. Boxing's just a huge fix. Hrgović has been mandatory for the IBF belt for around 18 months. Dubois and El Animal will lock horns on June the 1st at the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh. So all this hype and stuff, I mean, Big John Fury, he wouldn't last 5 minutes in a pub in Sunderland. I'm also going to... So my take is I do hope that Tyson Fury continues. I mean, he's got so much money, he literally can't spend it. I do hope he comes back because I do think this defeat will make him a better man, may improve him as a fighter, because losing is part of winning. And if he can take this, it's how he comes back from this that is the measure of the man. I think he's quite humble today. I think Usyk fought a very, very clever fight. Considering he's a slight man, he was pushing Tyson Fury all over the place. But and do you know something? Yesterday afternoon, I was just doom scrolling through trying to research some bits and pieces, and Paddy Power had Usyk at 50-1 for brand new customers. 50 to 1 to win. And I looked at it and I thought, I'm not a gambling man. Down that road is ruination. I nearly put a bet on that would have given me a lot of buns, a lot of cash. Final two things. I'm going to ask you another question. And the question that I want to ask you is the reason why I wanted to... I'm going to do some Belfield comments, but I want to get to the essence of this, because, you know, there are people that are being silly in the comments. There are people that are being very erudite and they're being very measured. But I want to ask you this question, and there is a reason why I'm going to ask it. Is Alex Belfield's sentence too harsh? 1 for yes, 2 for no. And while you're voting, I'm going to explain why I'm asking the question. Is Alex Belfield's sentence too harsh? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Because what people are not saying is he's innocent. What they are saying is that the sentence is too harsh. And there's a mighty chasm between the two. They're not saying that he's innocent. They're saying it's a fit up and the sentence too harsh. Is it too harsh? 1 for yes, 2 for no. So some people are saying it's a fit up, but a lot are saying the sentence is too harsh. They're not saying that he's innocent. And I just want to get, because I know a lot of people have followed the story for the last 18 months, just want to get where we are with things. And if it is the zeitgeist, the general opinion, the general consensus that he's innocent and the punishment was too harsh. So is Alex Belfield's sentence too harsh? 1 for yes, 2 for no. And whilst you're voting, thank you very much. I'm just going to do these comments and then we'll call it a night in about 10 minutes or so. Double Plus Good Thinker says, and this is in relation to one of the most recent Alex Belfield videos, I'm still seething at the way I was taken in by this man's lies. Stephen Gandalf says, howdy Adrian, just watching your latest Big Alex update in my lunch break. Do you realise that possibly thousands of Alex Belfield supporters believe that when the King of Fantasy is released back into the world, he will be bigger than Jesus Christ? John Lennon must be turning in his grave at the mere thought that Alex would be more popular than the Beatles. Keep up the good work and the entertaining channel. Steve, thank you very much. Sunflower One, who I think is in the body of the Kirk this evening. Interesting update, Adrian. Thank you. I suspect that Alex won't be able to behave when he's released on licence. His failure to comply with publishing the promised apology on social media is hinting at his continued defiance. Unless there was a time limit for it, and he's pushing it to the wire. Well, I think we could honestly and confidently say that whatever was agreed prior to the court appearance. So that agreement would have been weeks in the making and agreed. And now we're 17 days, 18 days, 17 days since May 2nd. Comic Mania. Adrian, thank you for the update. I hope he gets some rehab and they can turn him around somehow. Even if he can get an honest job like a simple worker, cutting keys at Timpson's, it'll be good. I like to think there is some good in everybody. Alex isn't going to want to go back inside for similar charges, methinks. Emma L. It's always good to see Emma L in the comments. Adrian, thank you for the update. It beggars belief that Alex still has a platform on YouTube and X, formerly Twitter. The very same platforms that he used to stalk and harass his victims. Allowing him these platforms is like giving back a serial burglar the tools of his trade. Unbelievable. I think that the license conditions are going to stop him from being silly. I do believe that he will have very, very stringent license conditions from what I'm hearing. And I don't want to bring anything else to here for the moment. So thank you, Emma. Barbara Pape says, will Alex ever learn to play it by the system? If he doesn't, then he will be in one hell of a mess. And if he has to go the full term in prison, the systems in place are there for a reason. Rebel against them if you want, but you will be the one in tears. I agree, Barbara. Thank you for the comment. Zen for Men, if the England I see is a tribute to the quality of the system needs to go, root and branch. I would be ashamed to say that I had a part in such an abysmal system. But an awful lot of people make an awful lot of money making a very bad system harm others. I agree. They're going to privatise the whole prison system eventually. Not sure how long it'll take. And there's always some very interesting threads on some of the videos that I do. And I want to read you this thread because then you'll kind of get the what so, the zeitgeist, the general consensus. Claire Hillier says, Adrian, I guarantee Alex will come out and be as popular, if not more so, than he was before, as we've seen with the likes of Gypsy Rose. Criminal acts only make you more interesting. But Emma L replies, I doubt he will be so popular with the thousands of people he scammed money from. Where's the money, Alex? Ken Hampshire says, popular doing what? He won't be on social media, the very platform he used for his fraudulent and slanderous activities. If he does, it will contravene the terms of his license. He's finished and only has himself, his jealousy of those more successful than him, and his ego to blame. Thank you, Ken. Tim Attack, I'd be fascinated to see how interesting you'd find someone who committed criminal acts against you or your family, in response to Claire Hillier. And Ken says again, well said to Tim Attack. I found Belfield very entertaining until the begging bowl came out, and I was very suspicious of his claim to be suing organisations that could outspend him 10 times over on legal fees. Toxicology says, Adrian, I would imagine that the solicitors for the plaintiff in the defamation case will have put a time frame on the apology. So whether that is based on when he gets out of prison, I don't know. So I'm going to give Alex the benefit of the doubt on the apology. If you think about it, from experience of dealing with anyone who deals in contracts and agreements of any kind, they know to put a time frame on things in order to ensure they can say that something has or hasn't been done. Even letters they write usually state that if there is no response within X amount of days, we will take action to do whatever. So I suspect, as just standard practice, there's a time frame in when he must have made his apology. And it is quite possible that he might be within days of release from prison. And Toxicology continues, you are right about his mental health being affected. The last thing he would want in the world is not being able to do what he wants when he wants. Having to do and act as he is told, all of this isn't a small inconvenience. This is a huge inconvenience for him. And unfortunately for him, when you play up and behave really badly, prison doesn't kick you out. It just takes away more of your freedom. Thank you, Toxicology. We'll leave the comments there. There are quite a few more, but I don't want to keep going for another hour or so. We've done quite a bit tonight, sort of in place of the lack of live on Wednesday. Thank you to everyone that's been in the body of the Kirk this evening. I hope your bum's not too numb. I hope the altar wine has helped, and maybe the odd slice of Battenberg. Remember, the next live is on Wednesday, 8 p.m. as ever. More videos coming tomorrow. Make sure you've smashed the likes. There's quite a few tonight. I'm really pleased with those. Thank you very much. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, because I've had words from varying people saying that they keep being unsubscribed from the channel. So please make sure you are. Smash the likes before you go. Most of all, thank you for the indulgence this evening. It's always good to talk to you. I'll have a look through some of the top chat with the team in just a little while. But most of all, thank you for your indulgence. Whatever you do, be safe, be well, and please don't forget the Battenberg on the way out. I'll see you on Wednesday, 8 p.m.